Thanks.
Okay. Got it. 3, 2, 1. Hello and welcome to the Churros.
That's a
Tácticas
lot of R's for
podcast.
somebody that just got leapfrogged in La Liga, but I get it.
La Liga doesn't matter, my friend. The
Right.
Champions League is
It's
what
so
matters.
funny how in your universe La Liga does not matter. I swear. Talk about cherry picking, man.
It's so funny how in your universe the Champions League doesn't matter. I swear.
It does. It does matter.
Okay. Well, I mean, according to Xavi, the best team doesn't win the Champions League. So
See,
it
also
doesn't
that.
matter if
Listen,
you win it.
we have so much to discuss.
You get your ribbon.
We have so much to
You
discuss.
got your ribbon.
You know how to like.
You got your ribbon. We are the
your
champions
people.
in our hearts.
You are the champion of giving your people what they want. I swear. Your tweets are. You should start a newspaper because a lot of people will buy the propaganda you help spread and feed into this narrative, this Madridista, anti-Xavi, anti-Culé narrative, and you're better than that. There's a lot of things that get taken out of context, I feel, where not entire press conferences are being heard. This is all, I mean, it's nothing new. It's just in this recent case. If you want to start with that, because your tweet, you are very successful. Sometimes I feel you take advantage that you're smarter than what you actually put out in the tweets, knowing that 150 characters is a very limited amount of characters to get out a message or your full
That's
idea.
why I make a thread.
That's why you're on TikTok now.
Got no choice, man.
Look,
the world is changing.
Let's. Hello, first of all, thank you to all of our listeners. Welcome to another.
No,
Churros.
first of all, happy birthday, Diego Lorin. Today is Diego's birthday. That's all that matters. All this stuff about. Yeah, but you know, it's birthday month. You and I have the same birthday month, October.
That's right. We're Libras. So, that's why we are so kind and get on so well.
Actually, I'm Scorpio because I'm at the end. I just missed the cutoff. I think
you just got me in the back with your pincha.
That's why I think we're compatible because it's the yin and the yang.
Right.
I don't know if compatible is the right word, but we're something. It works.
No, it
Look,
definitely was.
I understand. I know what you're gonna say.
Okay.
Xavi's quotes were. I never said that this was. What Xavi said was not, in my opinion, aimed at Real Madrid.
He never mentioned.
His point was just
that.
It
could be.
He never mentioned Real. Obviously, when Real Madrid fans hear that, they think, he's being salty. He's trying to drag us down again. Get him. I don't think I honestly believe this. I think some Madridistas will call me naive. I truly don't believe that was intentionally aimed at Real Madrid. What he is saying is the idea that there is luck in Champions League, and in La Liga you have to show up every weekend. Basically, is what he said. And that's what I understood. But this became a thing.
He used the word justa. Es más justa. The league is more just, more fair. And I think Carvajal and Ancelotti used or incorporated the word luck because Xavi never really talked about luck. And he did continue on to say Messi recently said that the best team doesn't win, and I would agree with that. That's not always the case. That's not to say that this Madrid that just won this Champions League wasn't the best. It means that over a span of time, sometimes in world football, in these tournaments, these sort of unpredictable tournaments where a lot of factors are at stake, more so than over a consistent league basis where you get tested week in, week out, pitch in, pitch out, that that over the course of time in football, not always the team has won. Now, you and I discussed that. I think that we kind of agree to disagree, perhaps. I think there are certainly cases to be made for teams that have won tournaments that have not been the best team of that tournament, aka Greece. Now, you said that's the only example. I disagree. I listed more examples of where teams that
No,
are
I don't think that's the only example.
no, well, that I mean, you maybe were being sarcastic or funny.
I was probably just, yeah, I wasn't, yeah, sometimes I just say things that are a little bit sarcastic, but
Right. But I kind of strongly was arguing that that is not a radical, like a far out statement to say something like that. So it's just that when then these kind of questions, and I didn't hear the way the question was posed, neither to Angelotti or Carvajal. Maybe you do, but if it was, never was luck mentioned, never was the current champion of the Champions League, the reigning champion, the reigning current champion, and La Liga question being put into question in that context. So I don't know why Madridistas are feeling so like, always against us. No, like, relax. It's a statement that Xavi put out there that is personally perfectly reasonable to say, and it's not being meant personally to you in this time. In the past, sure, yes, and again, we can argue about which Madrid of what year was sort of quote unquote lucky, if you will, to win the Champions League. The fact that they won 5 out of the last 9, I think it was, is astonishing. It's phenomenal. Anyway,
that's going to be, I got my TikTok.
okay.
Diego says Real Madrid winning 5 out of 9 Champions League is phenomenal. And that's it. It's just a 4-second clip. And we're just going to blow it up on social media. It's going to go viral. No context, no further context needed. Diego,
well, you'd be doing me a favor. You'd be doing me a favor. I need to get on that as well.
Okay, let me just go. Okay, I'll tell you why Madridistas are sensitive with this topic. And I'm not necessarily saying that it's logical explanation. It's just the explanation. Because Diego, when it comes to this stuff, a lot of emotion is involved, unfortunately. And not everything is logical. Madridistas are not going to come out and say, oh, Xavi wasn't talking about us, or Messi was, being fair when he said that.
Right.
Obviously, and I don't think it's necessarily even a Barca Madrid thing, because Real Madrid fans hate British pundits, because every single Champions League, no exception, they come out and they write us off.
I know. They are just as unjust with Barca. And yes.
Yeah, it's a thing. Like, anything outside their league basically sucks, or
island mentality,
or anything outside their league, if they win, it's luck, right?
Correct.
And so it wasn't just a Barca Madrid thing. I'll tell you why I actually wrote an article about it. I don't know if you saw the article, but I
didn't read the article. You did attach it. Yes. I still have it open.
So if you go out back and read Messi's quotes, it's actually complimentary towards Real Madrid. The headline is never going to put that in the whole context of what he said.
Right.
What Messi basically said was that Real Madrid have the ability. And he said during the game, we knew that no matter what, Real Madrid are never out of this, because he said, I played against Real Madrid my whole life.
Right.
I know what they can do. I know that all it takes is for them to one moment, and then they can go into a different gear. It was actually a very complimentary quote, because what he was saying was that we need to be able to learn how to do that. And he was talking about PSG's chances, and he's saying that, it doesn't really matter what we do. Like, we need to figure out those moments when the pressure is on. We need to figure out how to be able to do what they do. It was a complimentary quote.
Obviously, As they often are. Also, Pep Guardiola gets taken out of context plenty for what I deem complimentary statements, such as the whole atletas thing. When Pep was still coaching at Barca, and he said these guys are athletes. They are incredibly fast. Their transition football is explosive. It's fast. They're athletes. The Madrid media went absolutely berserk. They were like, the disrespect. They were so insulted by Pep being like referring to Bale and Cristiano and company to athletes that he was like, it was bizarre to me. You're like, oh, football
Yeah,
can only be played one way. No, no, it's a different way. It was very fast counter-attacking football. The transition was like instant, and boom, you were down a goal just like that.
the Spanish media are out of their minds anyway because
Yeah.
they literally will complain about that, and then Marca will write an entire article about Real Madrid's new physical beasts and put a picture of
Right.
5 Real Madrid black players and
Right.
exclude the physical white players that are actually more physical, like Fede Valverde, and then they will just Marca. And Spanish media can't complain about anything. We can I can't take them seriously at all. Um, what was I going to say? Oh, right. First of all, the reason I wrote about it was not even about really Xavi or Messi or whatever. It's just that what happened was because of these quotes being admittedly taken way out of context, is it just keeps resurfacing this idea that the Champions League is this tournament that is less fair if you like it.
There are more factors
You
involved
and I,
in a short tournament, played at a very high level, very demanding. There's no discarding that the competition, the level of competition in that short time frame over those, what is it, 7 games, is higher than maybe in the league, right, where you play against mid and low table tier teams. But there are more unpredictable, uncontrolling factors involved in the tournament like that than over a long time frame, where you play more consistent football over a more consistent basis.
I think where I disagree with you on this, and I'm not even sure if you disagree with it necessarily, but I don't believe the idea that the league is more difficult to win than the Champions League. I just straight up don't believe that. I think the ultimate litmus test is like look at what you have to do to win the Champions League. It's 7 games straight, 2 games round of 16, 2 games quarterfinals, 2 games semifinals, 1 game in the final. It's 7 games against the best teams in the world, where the season is on the line. And but well,
Arguably, because you can't say that a Shakhtar, let's say, belongs more in the Champions League than
that's a group stage thing, though. Like,
but still,
it's definitely sure. Yeah, you definitely.
like
It really
Athletic
depends on
Group.
your path to the final. Will depend. Like I'm talking about the knockouts. Like once you get to the knockouts and you're facing the best, like you ultimately, regardless of what, like how you,
So that's
no matter how you
32,
spin, you have to
16.
go through the best teams in the world.
That's 5 games.
7 games, round of 16, quarterfinals,
Oh, ida
semifinals,
vuelta,
and then the
claro,
final.
claro. Sorry, excuse me. Yeah.
Yeah. And to me, the litmus test of the greatness of players has always been in these games, not just the Champions League. The greatest players of all time are the greatest players of all time because they show up in the World Cup finals, the European finals, the major international tournaments, the Champions League finals, plus the knockouts and all those things. We think back, this is where we look at the greatest players of all time. It's from these moments. It's not like I'm not going to look back and see, Zidane showed up like against Alaves in this game. No, Zidane is great because every single World Cup final, European final, Champions League final, the knockout stages, the Clásicos, he was swinging his dick around and he was amazing. That's why Zidane is great. It's because he showed up in these moments.
But you can't even talk about every single final or how many Champions Leagues did Zizou win? 2.
One.
So
As a player,
how long did he play football for?
Yeah, but before that he had a World Cup, he had a European Championship as well. He got his team to a World Cup final.
My point is that you can't say in every single moment, every single time Zizou stepped up and swing his big dick when he just won one Champions League. There were many times where he didn't.
No,
So
but no athlete shows up every single time.
Unless
you're Michael Jordan.
or for example, or a Messi, let's say.
That's why we look at their legacies when they're retired, because they will go through ups and downs, and then they will,
Or
Zidane has the overall track record.
Cristiano, in that sense, take somebody that has more weight. I would say in this and of more of your liking, and Cristiano. Okay, how are you going to only judge
Zidane
him?
is up there.
Yeah, but he's not better than Cristiano.
Okay, well, we don't have to use the absolute greatest of greatest. There's he's not like Cristiano's the only great player.
But my point is, are we going to disregard or not count, let's say, everything that Cristiano did over? But I think we're boring our audience. I don't know. Do you want to continue? We have so much to talk about.
Well, just finish your thought.
Okay, my thought is, are you going to, in this sport, football, with so many games, so many different competitions, both domestically, internationally, then club level and international level, are you only going to be focused on those say 5 or 7 games, whatever, right? You make it all the way to the final, 7 games, and disregard everything else that a player does over their career? And it's only going to be, I look at a lot of these ESPN clips.
No, of course not.
They only talk about Champions League. It's like that Champions League is the only competition, and I think that's it's just wrong. It's like it's for example, doing a survey and your sample size being 10 instead of 100, because the other 90 are kind of like, it doesn't really matter, or they're not as influential people, let's say, and you're only going to focus on these 10, and that's your sample size. And it's like, well, do you understand what I mean?
Yeah, but that's the way it should be in a lot of ways.
And then we could come to the consistency of, for example, a Michael Jordan or Leo Messi that took every single game super serious. And then you'll talk, I know a lot of listeners will now say Messi didn't show up in the great moments and Cristiano did, right? That eternal debate, which I think is flawed. I think you and I have debated it. That's why I don't want to go down that path again with numbers, with trophies, with stats, etc. Having said that, Cristiano in the Champions League has had these grand moments that are being highlighted, that are great highlight reels and clickbaity titles for ESPN video clips on YouTube. But I think it's a flawed argument just to solely focus on that. So I wonder why somebody like you that loves the game so much, you watch so much football, man. You watch so much football. Do you really not hold any weight? A game against Osasuna that you now drew at the Bernabeu, where you lost 2 points and Barca got to leapfrog you. You don't see the importance in that over the span of time. It's like a marathon. It's like saying, I don't care about the marathon. I only focus on 100-meter sprints. That's my shit. That's the only thing that counts. Marathon athletes, not so much. No,
that's not what I'm saying at all. Of course, that's not what I'm saying. Of course, that's not what I'm saying, Diego. What I am saying is that your example of Michael Jordan showing up consistently and being so competitive, none of that would have mattered if he also didn't win the ring at the end. It's the whole there's gonna be so many NBA teams, for example, who will dominate the regular season, but when it comes to the playoffs and it's time to season is on the line,
again the NBA
look at James Harden. Look at James Harden.
No one
gives out these cookies for these players. When it matters, are you going to show up? That's to me the litmus test of greatness. When the crowd is going crazy, 100%, all of a sudden you're running on adrenaline. That's what I'm talking about.
100%. Now I think the NBA. The football is like the NBA, meaning the Champions League is like the NBA playoffs, and the regular season is the group stage or La Liga, let's say, right? Now, if the NBA, which
not quite, but
David Stern,
but yeah, because La Liga is actually a trophy, whereas the NBA regular season is, no one's going to remember if you came first in the East or whatever.
No, exactly. No, because you get this symbolic trophy. My point is, if those two competitions would have been split and you would award a team for picking up the most wins and finishing number 1 in the table, that has merit as well, aside from, let's say, the playoffs.
The parallel would be let's say if La Liga changed its format.
Yeah.
And it didn't matter who was first place by the end of the season, because first place then has to play 8th place. So let's say let's say Real Madrid finish first in the league, for example.
Yeah.
Barca finished second, for example. But then that's not the end of it. Then all of a sudden they have to beat their own teams in the seeding, and then Real Madrid plays Barcelona in the final. And then Real Madrid win that, or Barcelona win that. If Barcelona win that game, no one's going to care that Real Madrid came first in the league. You know what I mean? And my point is not to discredit La Liga. Absolutely not my point. My point is, I personally, and this is subjective, and this is what I wrote about also, is that the measurement of a player's greatness is how he does in the high-stake moments. Because it brings their psychological fortitude into play, into question. And also that if you can perform under pressure like that, that to me is what sets you apart. It's not to say that like if we drew against Osasuna or whatever, we dropped 2 points. Okay, like you tell me how much you're gonna remember that moment where Barca leapfrogged this in this scenario.
Well,
I'm personally not going to remember
let's say,
it either way.
let's say Madrid never recapture the first place again. We'll talk about that weekend in against Osasuna Bernabeu was the turning point. That was a clutch moment. Sure. Everybody will remember that.
Alternatively, if it doesn't matter and Real Madrid win the league, so this is
so
my.
At what point does La Liga become clutch? At what point does a game against Getafe, against Osasuna, against Athletic Club, against Villarreal, against Valencia? At what time does it become clutch?
It's a good question. Again, I'm not discrediting La Liga. You have to be consistent in La Liga to win it. In any domestic trophy, you have to be consistent. And I think being consistent and showing up every single weekend is a huge, highly respectable endeavor that should never be discredited ever. And that's amazing. But what I am saying again is that there's just different stakes and different levels to performances. I think I've just always resonated with those big games, those big moments more, because to me that's when football becomes really interesting to me, and that's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
And so and where I
it's hard to get excited
fundamentally
for a 4:00 kickoff against against an Espanyol. It's not going to be as exciting as prime time against Liverpool in what's called the semifinal of the Champions League. Obviously, yeah.
Where I fundamentally disagree with so many of these ideas about La Liga being, or domestically it's more fair, is that just because you couldn't show up when it mattered, it doesn't make it less fair. That's the part I take issue with. It's if you want to make it sound like your league trophy. Yeah, if you want to make it sound like your league trophy is important, do that, and I agree with you. But I don't like when we discredit Champions League winners, and maybe I'm personally am extra sensitive to this because I'm a Real Madrid fan, and this is trying to explain why Real Madrid fans were so sensitive about it yesterday too, or this week, even if it may not have been logical, is because our whole life we're just battling this never-ending thing of like, stop discrediting the Champions League winner, stop it, like. They deserve to be the champion, and this has nothing to do with Real Madrid actually, because as you said, 5 and 9 you can't argue with. That's what Carvajal essentially said too. Eduardo tweeted about this, and someone asked him, "Well, hold on a sec. What if Ramos doesn't score the header in the 2014 against Atletico at the last second?
Right.
Then what would you have said then?" Would you have said that the best team won or the best team didn't? And I don't know what he responded or if he responded. But me, when I was reading that, I said, actually, if Ramos didn't score the header, then Atletico Madrid were the better team. Because they saw it out. But because Ramos scored the header, I know this is a really weird logic to look at it this way. But that told me that we did deserve to win it because we had transcended the moment psychologically and fought till the end instead of cowering away at it. Yeah. And yeah, it does come down to those fine details. And the margins are smaller, but that's what makes it so special as well.
For sure. For sure.
It's not like Michael Jordan won every game at a blowout. He had a lot of buzzer beaters. Okay, so we're going to say, wait, what if Michael Jordan missed that shot? Well, we're not talking about that. We're talking about how great he is because he did make the shot. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know if I'm verbalizing myself
No,
properly.
no, it makes a lot of sense. I'm about to stand up and give you a
Yeah.
clapping ovation, but I'm refraining from doing so.
Thank you. All right, let's talk about Barca Inter. Is that the
Yeah.
most important thing on the schedule right now?
Well, I mean, look, Shakhtar, in also honor of our listeners that always have high standards of us and expect the best, demand the best. I watched Madrid Shakhtar and was of course delighted with
Thank
Madrid
you.
Osasuna over the weekend, and been watching some extended highlights of Sevilla and Atletico. Fuck man, what happened in the Sanchez Pizjuan was very bizarre
Yeah.
yesterday.
It's
But
been Sevilla this season, man.
yeah. No, but I mean the whole ceremony of Monchi and Lopetegui, Monchi being like, "Come on,
Oh,
one more goodbye" and
yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
I
Very
feel bad for
strange.
Lopetegui.
Very strange behavior from Sevilla.
Yeah, yeah. But so yeah, but I would say the main talking point is Barca Inter. I would imagine that a lot of people want to hear us jump into that as opposed to Madrid Shakhtar or whatever you want. Else.
Well, Atletico, I guess,
Also, of course,
they
yeah,
have their own problems. They lost to.
yeah. No, no,
Um,
Atletico's in deep shit.
Atletico literally may not even make it to Europa
Yeah.
League at this
No,
point.
no, no. Right.
Um,
And we're in deep shit. Deep
well,
shit.
I feel like you're the one who has to lead the discussion on Barca Inter.
Okay. Well, it's gonna be quick and it's gonna be pretty predictable. I'm very outraged by what I saw. Mainly coming from the referee. I have a lot to talk about VAR, and the referee, a fellow Dutchman that also screwed us in the game against Bayern, Paul van Boekel, and
The Dutchies, man.
the fucking Dutchies, and Dumfries, being another. There's plenty of Dutch conspiracy stuff going on here. But let me start with maybe what some possibly find or won't expect. I think those that listen to us for a long time, this doesn't come as news, but I'm also very critical of what I saw from a footballing perspective. I hold this team the same way our listeners hold us at a higher standard. I do also hold the team at a higher standard. Certainly wasn't the best
Yes.
football we saw, we want to see, we aspire towards, and there's plenty to say about that. But I will stick to my guns and say that there are certain moments, certain games where you need to grind out a result. This is nothing new. Let me say this, Kian. I said this yesterday. Who was I talking to? A friend. I said what I find surprising is how many people are jumping on Xavi's back for like what we saw take place. Oh, so slow. Oh, look how hard it was for Barca to break down the Inter defense. Oh, no ideas coming from the forwards. Oh, Dembele. Oh, Lewandowski. Oh, this. Oh, that. And I'm thinking, man, but I have seen this movie play out over the years so many times, Kian, and so have you. With Lucho, with Pep, like how many times have we not seen a Barca side filled with quality? Messi, Iniesta, and Xavi at their peak have trouble breaking down these kind of defenses, right? In Inter, for example, even when Jose Mourinho was there. So where the games were won with very short margins. If they thought that our peak is like with Xavi is just tiki taka and winning 4-5-6-0, that's not gonna, that is not gonna happen. There will be games like this where Barca maybe do look a little bit more stale, a little less inspired. Again, I don't defend. This is not the highest standard that we expect and demand from our team, but I can also understand that there are games like this in the Champions League competition, despite the fact that we had supposedly nothing to worry about Inter, that they were ninth in the Serie A, that we were going to bulldoze them and stuff. These are very talented players that also get more out of a game, get more excited when they face a Barça than maybe when they face a Brescia. I don't know, meaning that the quality of these players also show are more evident perhaps on the big stage, and you can take that for your pro Champions League argument as well. So the point being is that this is still a talented Inter that deserves our respect, that is not going to be a walkover like a Victoria Pilsen or a Shakhtar is going to be. That's all I have to say about that. All my other stuff would be aimed at the referee and the outrage and I feel like the Churros y Tácticas account put out some tweets. I'm feeling very conspiratorial at the moment. I wonder who Schäferin is targeting, talking to, because it feels like a targeted attack at this point. We saw what happened against Bayern. We saw what happened against Inter. We're not getting any of our calls that we should be getting with us. If we could have gotten a point in Munich, playing very well against Bayern, that would have served a great purpose now. We deserved at least a point against Inter as well. We should have gotten a penalty. That goal should have not stood, etc., etc. And that's going to be the rest of the talking point. So I figured you want to talk Tácticas before we get into Churros, then the floor is yours.
Wow, where to start?
Yes.
I always I've always been so bad at like knowing what to follow up with when someone speaks on a variety of subjects. I'm like, okay, should I start this? But I
can understand.
Guardiola himself has said that the best way to break low blocks is to just cross. And that's what we saw from this Barca team on 50 crosses. It's an insane amount of crosses. I think only 35 of them were from open play, but that's still an insane amount. To put things into perspective, everyone called Zidane the crossing inshallah, that whole moniker.
Yeah.
He averaged about 27 crosses per game. And so this was on another level. And I think, I guess the issue is whether, that worked or didn't or almost worked or whatever.
Yeah.
The reality of the situation in this particular game was that if you look at the pass maps of Barcelona, Pedri and Gavi had zero connection with each other. Nothing.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
It was get the ball out to the wingers and cross. And that's all they did.
Right.
And I think the unfortunate reality for you guys as well was that Inter's defenders are very tall. And it was predictable. It's like, okay, we just know the cross is coming. All we have to do is head it away, right? Yeah. And I think that didn't work in your favor as well.
Yeah.
And that's some of the tactical side of things. But I guess it depends on how
Wednesday,
much.
I think we're gonna have more of the same, Kian. Don't you think? It's gonna be exactly.
What's Wednesday? Is it Inter? Oh, Inter again?
Yeah, the back-to-back. So it'll be at least from Inter's. Like, how is it going to be different in the Camp Nou? I wonder. At least from Inter, huh? At least from Inter. But I think in terms...
Inter's game plan won't change.
It won't change.
Yeah.
Now, from Xavi, you hope...
And they're actually pretty decent on the counter-attack, too.
Very, very much so. Very effective. And that goal was a great goal. What are you going to do? Ter Stegen, I'm not going to fault Ter Stegen for letting that one in.
I don't know what to necessarily add about the referee discussion because it was pretty clear. Like, what am I going to say? Okay. Yeah, it was a handball. It was obviously a handball. It was shocking that VAR didn't intervene there. Or if they tried to or whatever. I don't really know what the story was, but it was a bad call.
So let's talk conspiracies. Because there's no justifying. There's no justifying this. Let's talk churros, my friend. Because, okay, there's plenty of clips going around with Xavi... quote unquote contradicts himself, if you will, as referees always do. As
we don't talk about the referees.
As we all do. We don't talk about the referees, and now we talk. Okay. It is at the end of the day points that are being taken away that are valuable, that are of utmost importance for any team or club, in particular in our interest, in our case rather, Barça, given all of the palancas and the financial situation and the risks we've also onboarded by basically investing short-term success, and how crucial it is for us to advance to the knockout, to the latter stages of the Champions League. Because if we don't, Al-Khelaifi might be very happy and, buy Espanyol and try to start something and cast a shadow, as he put it. He wants to cast a shadow over Catalonia with and over Barça with his club, and uh, I like I, I like going into these conspiracy theories because one, I just find it entertaining and amusing. Two, I sometimes do think that there might be some validity to it without any proof, just sheer speculation. I hope one day transcripts or of WhatsApps and emails might one day be exposed. It wouldn't surprise me if Sheferin, Al Khelaifi, and company have the clubs targeted that are in favor of a Super League. And you might say, yeah, but Real Madrid, there's nothing been happening there. They just won the Champions League. That's very true. Maybe Madrid is in a less vulnerable position right now than, say, a Barça, and they don't need to be attacking all of the three clubs at once, but maybe breaking them down one at a time. I don't know.
This is next level conspiracy, man.
If they can escape, if Barça could run into the ruins, Europa League, not get the money, need more financial levers, but not have it, etc., and basically become a scapegoat and say, look, what Super Leagues you have now? Barca has become, it's a bankrupt, broken club. We become an AC Milan 2.0. It's look, man, I it's a scenario that is not far off the table. If you think everybody's good, clean, and wholesome, Kian, come on, we can't be that naive neither. You know that there's politics being played in these big corporations.
No, obviously, no. Please do not put me in that camp. No, nobody is clean here. But
right.
I don't know if many people know this, but in Barcelona's annual budget, their revenue includes getting to the quarterfinal Champions League and winning La Liga. They factored that in.
Oh, wow.
And if they don't get out of the group stages, they will. They will get out of the group stages. There's no question.
It's not a given. There's absolutely a question. That is not a given, Kian. Why you are very always black and white. Last year you did the same thing. You take it as a given that we will advance to these latter stages. Last year wasn't the case. It's certainly not. We are right now third. We depend on ourselves. Thank God. We have to win against Inter next week, beat them to a pulp, make sure there's a goal average difference there in our favor. We have to. We're hosting Bayern. Hopefully, we can get something out of it. We certainly were able to in Munich, but also there the referee wasn't playing games with us. The Dutch, what's his name? Whatever the referee's name was, didn't call a penalty on Dembele, clear one. We didn't score a goal and ended up conceding two. Okay. But we're hosting Bayern. Hopefully we can get a point. And then Victoria Pilsen away. Let's hope that we can get 3 points there. I mean, of all the three, that's the one I'm banking on, obviously. But it's not a given.
A little bit to your disadvantage. I think it's a little bit to your disadvantage to not play Bayern last, because Inter playing Bayern last, it's like I would guess that it's possible they will rest players in the game against you as well, but against Inter, I would imagine it's their first place is sealed probably, and for sure they won't put their first strength 11. Maybe they will. I don't know. I'm just making stuff up, but I think there's a higher chance, at least against Inter in the last match day, they'll put a weaker squad, and I can see the anxiety in your eyes as I say that. But okay, let's just look at the mathematical side of things. If let's say if Barca and Inter draw next week, what happens? 7 points and 4 points. You can still advance. It's not the end of the world. But then it's no longer in your hands.
It's not in our hands. And that's the main thing as well. I don't want to be long. Bayern won't be in the mood to do us any favors, none. So we can't count on them. They're not going to arrest anybody.
Maybe not against you, and that's why I'm saying I think they're more likely to rest against Inter when the last match day then, because even if they're through by the time they face you guys mathematically, which they probably will be, they may still want to just make sure they get first place or whatever, just in case. And
we're walking thin ice. We're treading on thin ice, Kian. You know it. Nothing is a given, but we've got everything.
You're still going to advance. There's no way you don't advance.
I'm happy you have that faith. Okay,
it's just too catastrophic if you don't advance. Therefore, I believe that you will advance.
Right. It will be catastrophic.
There's too much. It is too
Yeah.
catastrophic to be eliminated here. So
Yeah. Yeah.
for that reason, you will advance.
I hope so. I mean,
Because
look,
I don't
I'm
know
really
if you guys
excited.
are eliminated. I don't know. We have to change the structure of this podcast. Maybe Barcelona shouldn't be at the top of the discussion anymore. It should be,
I resign.
Diego resigns. No,
Listen,
you'll be okay.
I next week is going to be huge. Wednesday, the Camp Nou is going to be packed. These next games are finals. There's the argument now that the Clásico is the least of our worries. 100% correct. It's very much similar to what we discussed, I think, in the last Clásico, where it was all in Barca's interest to outperform Madrid on the day, and we beat you 4-0. But Madridistas didn't care, and I said I understand at the time as well. Obviously I was happy with the ass kicking, but it was completely understandable to me that the Clásico was on second on the priority list, because what were you playing? Champions League what at the time? I don't know. Quarterfinals. I don't know what stage it was of the competition.
I don't remember.
But I remember it not being as important because you had more important matters. The same goes for Barca now. Champions League is more important than the Clásico.
At that time.
Or the league was wrapped up. Is that what it was? Okay. So, look, the good thing is that Barca have always beaten Inter at the Camp Nou in the Champions League. So the stats are in our favor. I think we are going to beat Inter, and I'm feeling good. I hope to God. There was something that I saw going around where that's what it was. The Last Dance, where Michael Jordan says, because Inter has been very, and I should say Italian media have been very arrogant in this win, putting memes out, putting messages out, putting pictures out.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a lot. Yeah. Players. And I hope, if I'm Xavi, I'm going to the team right now every day before training, and I'm showing them all this, and I'm telling my guys, I'm saying they still have to come to the Camp Nou. The same thing that Jordan said about who was it in the series? It was the Pacers. And he said they got their ass beat over in Indiana, and they were all being festive. They're like, yeah, we're doing it. We beat the Bulls. We're going to the finals. And Jordan said they still have to come to Chicago, and they took care of business there. That has to be the mentality for this next game. Looking at them, taking it fucking personal, like Jordan would or does, and be like, they still got to come here and just go. With
what's the
knife between the teeth and just fucking slitting their throats.
Well, Jordan would just literally invent shit to motivate himself.
Well, they don't need the invent nothing. All the motivation is there.
Yeah.
Europa League last year, all the past few years. There's plenty of fuel for motivation for these players.
What's the status of the backline? So Christensen left injured against Inter. When is Koundé back?
So Koundé will not be back for next week. Hopefully, they say the Clásico, which of course is just 4 days later. But I think Inter will be just too soon. Bellerin out, of course. Araujo obviously not for the rest of the year. So it's certainly not good. Piqué though, I've got nothing to say bad about Piqué, and I'll tell you what else. I have actually full trust in Gerard Piqué to step up to the occasion on a game like this.
Okay. I mean, hey, when I saw Piqué coming off the bench in that game against Inter, I was like, man,
it's not bad.
That's pretty solid.
Yes.
Emergency center back coming in he's still a good player.
Yeah, he saved us as well. He had a good minutes.
Well.
Headed away the goal. And Eddie Garcia again, obviously the joke around the web as well, but I saw nobody talk about him dispossessing, I forget who, in what would have been a clear shot on goal, occasion on goal.
Mhm.
So,
So, um, once this is all over, Inter and Real Madrid are back to back.
yeah.
You're gonna beat Inter, and then you're gonna beat Real Madrid.
Okay, here we go again.
Everything will be
I can
okay
never
again.
take you serious when you do this. I swear to God, never ever. Because it's just so like it's almost like overwhelming. It's disgusting how much sarcasm and you ooze off comes off of you when you say this.
Diego, I'm always right. Did I not tell you?
You're not.
And I tweeted this. It's on record. I literally said after Inter played Bayern, I said there's no way that Inter are gonna take any points off you. Oh, I was wrong about that one. Oh.
Why do I feel you know that
But
as well? You just love it. You love it.
No, that I actually didn't see coming. I actually was so underwhelmed by Inter's performance against Bayern, and by extension this season they haven't been that good that I was just like, yeah, that's not happening. Especially the way you guys were playing. Like,
So our next games,
so,
okay, are Vigo over the weekend before Inter. Okay, so good game to get
at
some
home,
confidence at home.
yeah.
Although we know how Celta have been the Celta Barças have been more so perhaps in
But
Balaidos.
that's usually at Balaidos. Yeah.
Yes, but still. And then it's Inter, Clásico, Villarreal, Athletic Club, Bayern. Bing, bang, bong. Oh my God, Jesus Christ.
Baby.
Oh my God.
No, usually in those when the schedule gets tough like that, you rise to the occasion. I mean, like this season, it happened this season. Like you guys, as soon as the schedule got tough, you played Bayern and Inter. You started losing those ones. It'll be fine. I think it'll be fine. I think.
You're such an asshole, dude. Oh my God.
No,
Well, let's
but
see. Let's see. It's a horrible month. Luckily, the only thing I had to celebrate my birthday was yesterday, which I didn't do. I did, but I was by myself. Wife was away. I was by myself. I was with the kids and my parents. What am I saying?
kids, yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
wife wasn't there. But that I did my celebrating before the month of October because I hopefully will have more things to celebrate at the end of it. It's gonna be tough.
You can't come down to Madrid next weekend?
Dude, I'm
Not
working,
next
man.
weekend.
I am working
Yeah.
for the Clásico.
Can't you just bring your laptop?
I have to.
I
All
gotta
my
go to the
work
studio.
is in the studio. Yeah, yeah.
Hmm. All right. You know what I noticed today?
What? I meant to
I
tell you
was
that.
like, well, actually, I'll tell you this off air.
No.
No, yeah, this one might be a little bit too inside.
Oh, okay.
Or I don't know, for whatever reason. I don't know. Not really,
Alright.
but just in case. Yeah. You finally the Griezmann saga looks like it's solved now.
Right.
Atletico are gonna buy him, right, for 20 million or something.
Right. He'll lower his salary, and and there's a lowering of the transfer fee as well. Nothing official yet, but
Mm-hmm.
I'll be
Mm-hmm.
curious to see the final numbers. Very.
So, are you and I gonna be back tomorrow for Patron Edition? I can't remember.
Um. Well, I don't know. We need to maybe discuss that off air too.
All right, churros. All right, let's figure it out off air, but hopefully we can record something for
But
patrons
just
tomorrow.
because
Even if it's a short one.
because tomorrow, okay, maybe a short one. Because the tomorrow I'm sort of celebrating with the missus my birthday because she wasn't
Okay.
here. Yeah, but I don't know what time.
Mm.
That's why. Let me get back to you.
No pressure. I'm sure everyone will understand. It's you want to celebrate your birthday with your wife, you should be able to do that primarily because that's what life is about. So, just keep me updated, and we'll keep our listeners updated.
41 tacos.
Thanks, man.
41 tacos.
That-
How old are you again, young man? May I ask?
Oh, 34.
Damn. I'll send you pictures of when I was 34. My beard was just as dark black. I didn't have all this grayness going on yet. But
you look more
enjoy it.
distinguished now.
I'm more distinguished.
You got the George Clooney look, salt and pepper.
It's a lot of salt, my friend. I don't like my food that salty. It's not healthy. All right, bud. Hey, this was fun. Happy to have spoken again.
It was fun.
And
Yep.
we got a lot
Likewise.
to look forward to.
We'll touch base. All right. Thanks, man. Appreciate you. Take care. Peace.
Likewise, peace.
All right. Cool.
All right.
Go do your thing. I'll go do my thing.
I'll let you know for Domani.
Cool. Send me a message. If ideally by the time I wake up tomorrow, I have an answer. Then I can coordinate.
Yeah. No worries.
All right. Cool.
What did you want to say?
Thanks, man.
What did you want to say off air?
Oh, just that Michael Laudrup's son followed me on Instagram.
Whoa.
And I was like going through his Instagram, and I was like, oh, this is kind of, I followed him back. I was like, maybe I should try to be friends with this guy. He was like having dinner parties with Xavi and his kids, and I was like, sounds like I want to like get in the circle. So
that's awesome.
Apparently he's like yeah. So the only reason I found out was because someone messaged me on Instagram saying, hey, I don't know if you know this, but Laudrup's son was following you. So when I searched his profile.
What's his name?
I was like,
Not that I'm gonna follow him.
Andreas.
Andreas Laudrup?
Andreas. Yeah. I think he does something in football related, like as a pundit or something. I don't know exactly. And apparently he used to play for Real Madrid Castilla.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool, man.
I just didn't want to say it because in case listeners started to like look him up or something. Yeah, it would be weird. Yeah.
Or look him up. Yeah, no, of course.
Yeah.
Cool, dude.
All right,
bud. This was good. Stay in touch.
Fun.
You too.
Yeah, it was a good episode. All right, peace.